I may start with something I saw when I was the Director General of the Juvenile Justice Department. At the time, there was a cartoon stating that the way to rehabilitate inmates or juveniles is to put them in some kind of a machine. They have a cartoon making a picture of a machine and saying that we need to reprogram them, and after they come out of that program, they will be a good one. But the way to do it that we find and it becomes effective, it is something that we have to understand the root cause, understand the lacking, and make sure that the good life that the inmates, each inmate or each juvenile should have, would be something that we can set a target, and through that try to make sure that they move to the better environment, move to the better intervention, and perhaps even get to that. There's no guarantee that they will not recommit a crime. But at least, I think through the actuarial science, we know that this is going to be something better. So, starting with the point that in order to change the people behavior, we need something very delicate, something that requires a lot of work, requires a lot of analysis, and also information. The work in the Juvenile Justice Department, the work in the Corrections Department, and the Probation Department show that you need to investigate and find out those factors in a way, because there are other factors. We have a lot of doctors in jail. We have a lot of police officers in jail. We even have our friends in jail, even though they get a better income. So there are some parts which might not deal with the occupational background. However, even when we think that somebody is lacking the opportunity to work, it's not just like we're going to train them on vocational things and they're going to go and work, and after that they're going to get income and they will not recommit a crime. A lot of research saying that people who need each individually selected job, it's not quite easy to say that, well, you work on this and after you go out, you work on something that we train. They don't like it. They would behave then they are in jail. But when they are released, they don't even touch something that you teach them to do, even though that job would create a lot of money for them. So it's not quite easy to just say, get a job. But in a way, we have a research also saying that if they work after they serve that term, and they work on something that you actually teach them, the recidivism rate would be reduced 3 times. That was something that discovered in Germany. So in a way, if you can find a job to train them, and then of course, if they go on with that job, you get a good chance. But the way that you get a good job for them is not a guarantee for anything. In this particular part, we have experience in the Juvenile Observation Center. It's out of question that going to be very difficult for human beings to deal with this information and try to work out. Of course, we try not to do that through the human interview or even the way that human would investigate and evaluate it by way of dealing with that. Big data came in as one, perhaps, assisting solution. Big data is not going to be something that would do away with recidivism, because by changing people, you need people to change people. You cannot use machine to change people. This is something that we learned, like I told you a long time ago. Now, in dealing with this, what we try to do, it's the same thing. Like if you work with the finance, nowadays, if you are going to borrow the money, you fill in a lot of items. Of course, there is no normal person looking through your application application and say yes or no anymore. They have even big data on credit scoring, evaluating how risky you are. If you are someone between 20 and 25, your risk is very high. If you are someone between 25 and 30 with other factors, they have a lot of fields and factors because they know that at the end of the day, someone's going to be, well, in default. And if they are in default, they use that information, link them all together with some kind of module in way of study. They are able to tell you in the way that they do it in the actual science, that this, with that, with those, something along that line, and no. You have this kind of perhaps 25 or 30% of risk. So those information, if we put it in digital, and we have the formula and identifying the link between the information, if we can create artificial intelligence trying to identify and make sure that we have a better tool every month in terms of dealing with this, you will get better result. This information also will help in terms of prediction. Of course, big data that they are using nowadays, we notice, we try to follow the behavior of the people, not because of we have fun, but we try to identify that so that, well, for the coffee, we can sell better coffee to people. For the business, we would be able to deal with a better service to our customers, and even try to bring in customers into our work. The same way applies to this. We try to analyze the risk, and of course, if we understand it properly, that factors would give us the opportunity to understand the root cause of the crime. And until you understand the root cause of the crime individually, right, you need individual approach, so that when you get that, that might be able to help you in terms of giving effective intervention. Of course, it's not quite easy because we can say that they need job, they need education, they need family. We can do that. In fact, the level and urgency of each may not be the same. So if we get the root cause, we can predict, we can understand what would be the intervention that we should give them. It would be wrong if they have a mental health problem and you're thinking of what? Giving them a job, giving them an education. You must be crazy because they cannot study. They are not going to work because they have mental health problem. If the mental health problem is just something small, like they cannot control their emotion, you need to understand that there are ways to deal with that emotion. So in dealing with this, I must tell you that, well, we need to link big data with recidivism prevention. Get the risk analysis, get the root cause analysis, understand that, predict, and then of course you make a better intervention. Something that we may be seeing that is very small, because those part we might get it through information in the data mining. Of course, that is very easy to do that now, and because we have roughly something that I would explain to you, the rate of recidivism in this country. It's not that low. It's not that low. I hope that it could be lower in my terms, but I have my finger crossed. But again, even we have the idea of selecting a job for someone, right? For someone. We have 340,000 inmates that will be released in a year, like 145,000 released in a year. We may be saying that perhaps if 80,000 would require jobs, right? And we know that if they're going to get a job, the job must be something that we train them vocationally, and they're going to go out and work in that area. If we don't get a good management in terms of information, how are we going to place them? The guy there is very lucky, right? Chef Ken adopted him as a chef in his restaurant. accepted in one factory, good. But we have 80,000, right? How to deal with that? So we need a very detailed of information in and out in area, and also to make sure that we understand the work and the demand and supply of the work, even other factors. Because if we don't actually do away with the stigma, you never go anywhere. So this is something that even for the job selection, it's not going to be easy. I follow one case in the female juvenile center. The girl was actually kept in the center for 2 years, and nowadays she's now working in Pullman, near Cambodia border. So you see that it's very far areas of that. So you need to go and get that. This is what we try to do. So basically, in terms of big data, I would tell you that big data would come in order to help the rehabilitation to be more effective, to help us understand by reducing the time. Of course, we have a target at the moment. So what we have in terms of number, I told you that we have 340 something thousand people in prison, like 100,000, 8,000 to 100,000 in juvenile center. This is what we received after we followed the recidivism rate. We received that. It's a new thing, but this is, I think, a target that we try to do. I don't know about your country. You can share it to us, it would be great. Those prisoners who went into prison after release within 1 year, they will come back to us at the rate of 15%. 15% of those released would be back in our care, 15%. And we have 22%, right, come back, 24 to 25% come back within the second year. So you have 15, and then you can add like another 10% in the second year. So 15, 10, so it becomes 25, and then we got 7%, which come back in the third year, which is the last year that we follow. So this figure is very, very consistent. We are not in a position to improve it yet. It's been like in the last 4 years. This is very stable. And I hope that with our effort in terms of dealing with that and the big data, we try to reduce that. You may be asking the same question about what about the juveniles? Right? The juveniles, those who work with the juveniles can tell you that in terms of the juvenile, the recidivism rate is much higher. People should understand that juveniles recidivism rate everywhere is higher than adults. For the juveniles, the rate is at 22% in the first year. And it go up to 35% in the second year. And then it goes up to 44% in the third year. Okay? So we have figure of those who actually be in jail until the end of the time, like there's no pardon, there's no reduction of the terms or anywhere. They go after the court say go. The recidivism rate of those for prison go up to 40% something, comparing to 32 that are released before terms. Okay. Secondly, we also receive that if you do parole, okay. If you actually release think that the rate for committing the crime of IRC stand at around 10 to 12%, which is very low compared to the other figures. So this may be something that we actually get information through statistics. Statistics show something, but we can never get individual effective rehabilitation plan without the assistance of the big data, because it would reduce the time constraint that we receive maybe 500 to 600 inmates every day. So this is something perhaps that we try to resolve. Just the last bit, just to tell you that why we are so obvious with the figures, why we are so obvious with the way that we are using the big data and the statistics. Now, because we get the figure, right? It is something very simple that I will tell you that if we cannot measure it, we cannot manage it. And if we cannot manage it, we can never change it. So I think this is the policy that I received from the Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister of Justice, and with the help of the staff in the Ministry of Justice, we will try to achieve that. Thank you very much indeed.
ครับผมก็ต้องขอกราบขอบพระคุณท่านศาสตราจารย์พิเศษวิสิทธิ์สรพัฒน์ปลัดกระทรวงยุติธรรมเป็นอย่างสูงนะครับท่านก็ได้ขึ้นมาแลกเปลี่ยนนะครับมุมมองของสถานการณ์กระบวนการยุติธรรมของประเทศไทยนะครับก็หลักๆเบื้องต้นก็คือเรื่องของสาเหตุการกระทำผิดท่านก็มองว่าสาเหตุการกระทำผิดมาจากส่วนใหญ่แบ็คกราวด์มาจาก family นะครับจากครอบครัวนะครับแล้วก็อาจจะมีเรื่องของสภาพแวดล้อมการพบเพื่อนนะครับแล้วก็ยาเสพติดนะครับแล้วก็นอกจากนี้เนี่ยการนำข้อมูล Big Data มาเนี่ยจะช่วยได้อย่างสูงเลยเรื่องของการที่จะแก้ไขฟื้นฟูได้ตรงจุดก่อนอย่างแรกนะครับก็จะตรงจุดแล้วก็หลังจากนั้นเนี่ยเมื่อเขาพ้นโทษออกไปก็จะได้ไปดูอีกว่าแล้วกระบวนการช่วยเหลือเรื่องงานที่จะตอบสนองกับความต้องการหรือความชอบหรือความถนัดของแต่ละคนเป็นอย่างไรในเรื่องของการวิเคราะห์ Big Data เพื่อป้องกันการกระทำผิดซ้ำนะครับแล้วก็พูดถึงสถิติของประเทศไทยที่จะต้องลดลงใน3 ปีถัดจากนี้ครับ
Like to thank Professor Visitor at the Permanent Secretary of Justice. His speech gives us very insightful knowledge in the justice system, and as he mentioned, it's very important that if you know the root cause of crime and information or data, including the big data from the family background, the education background, the community backgrounds of the inmates and juveniles. This information, if we processed and utilize them very effectively, it can be intervention tools for us all to rehabilitate these offenders and juvenile. Very, very interesting speech we had for this morning. And the next program, we will go to have a break again, and this is going to be a lunch break in the restaurant. The name of the restaurant is Cruising Unplugged. We all going to walk towards the same way directions. And then we'll come back in this hall room again at 2 p.m. to have the country reports and exchange of the idea. We will have today, Cambodia will be joining us, and Malaysia will be accompanying the speech, and of course the Tata consultancy services. Our friend all day, we will join the participation this afternoon.
ครับผมก็ขอให้ทุกท่านนะครับเชิญรับประทานอาหารกลางวันร่วมกันนะครับที่ห้องคุยซีนอันปลั๊กนะครับซึ่งเดี๋ยวจะมีเจ้าหน้าที่พาเดินออกไปนะครับแล้วก็จะกลับเข้ามาในห้องนี้อีกทีหนึ่งคือ 14 นาฬิกานะครับบ่าย 2 โมงตรงจะเป็นเรื่องของ Country Report นะครับก็จะมีการบรรยายพิเศษจากผู้แทนประเทศต่างๆครับซึ่งวันนี้ในช่วงบ่ายเนี่ยจะเป็นผู้แทนจากประเทศมาเลเซียนะครับซึ่งจะ ร่วมกันกับประเทศกัมพูชาอาจจะมีการแลกเปลี่ยนพูดคุยนะครับแล้วก็จะมีบริษัททาทาคอนซัลเทนซีเซอร์วิสนะครับของประเทศไทยนะครับมาร่วมแลกเปลี่ยนนะครับก็ขอทุกท่านรับประทานอาหารกลางวันร่วมกันครับเราเป็นเชิญครับ
ตื่นยังไงมันตื่นยังกับโซเชียลขอให้คุณ